Canada. You're a little bit foggy and cold today, but it's not too late to have a barbecue. Thanks again for tuning in through our Through the Bible project. It all starts now. What's up, everybody? Hi! Welcome back. Okay, so we're going to be going through Job 22 to 26. 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Coming at you. Let me just read something here to you, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards. This is out of chapter 22. Starts in verse 4. Here we go. Is it because of your fear of him that he corrects you and enters into judgment with you? Is not your wickedness great and your iniquity without end? For you have taken pledges from your brother for no reason. I think he's grasping at straws. It's got to be one of these things. And stripped the naked of their clothing. Yeah, you have not given to the weary water to drink, and you have not withheld bread from the hungry. But the mighty man possessed the land, and the honorable man dwelt in it. You have sent widows away empty. Don't do that. And the strength of the fatherless was crushed. Therefore snares roll around you, and sudden fear troubles you, or darkness so that you cannot see, and an abundance of water covers you. Wow. Okay, so is Eliphaz, and this is Eliphaz, this is Job's old buddy Eliphaz. He's wondering if it was one of these things that Job had done to beckon the wrath and the discipline of God upon him. Okay, now with everything there's a little bit of truth into it, and what I want to show you is that there is a bit of God's heart in here, and it has to do with a few different people groups that are really key. A, have you stripped the naked of their clothing? Well, if they're naked, how could you get clothes? Well, exactly. Are you ripping off poor people? It's one thing to rip off people, but it's a whole other thing to rip off poor people. And unfortunately, some people make a living out of that. You have not given the weary something to drink. You are incapable of meeting just the most basic necessity, the most basic needs of life, like water. Reminds me of what Jesus said. When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. You know, you're not put on this planet just for yourself. You're put on this planet to love the other people made in God's image on it. If you're a believer in the Bible, there is absolutely nobody who you should shun. Rich, poor, you should be no respecter of persons. Every person you see, no matter if they're black, white, yellow, orange, purple, hipster, skater, country singer, alligator hunter, business type, politician, it doesn't matter. To God, everyone is seen as made in his image, and therefore if there's ever a need that you can meet, and it's in your power to meet it, but especially to provide the necessities of life, no matter who, God takes it incredibly serious that you get to that point. You got to think of it this way too, because if God is Jesus and Jesus is God and he's part of the Trinity, one of the most incredible acts of love that God has ever demonstrated was him coming to our level, coming down to earth from heaven on high, from his seat in glory. He set it aside just for a moment, and he came down and he took on this sinful flesh, took a body like ours. The times that you look through the Gospels and you see Jesus, you see him with the lowliest of society. You'll see him with lepers. You'll see him with prostitutes. You'll see him with tax collectors, which were just really corrupt agents of the government who were just greedy and ripping everybody off. You'll see him with the highest of echelons in society, the religious leaders. And you'll see him with the most destitute, blind, in hurting condition person you can even imagine. And he goes to them and not only just speaks to them from a distance, he goes up and he touches them and he lays hands on them and he gets close to them and he heals them and he walks with them and he's right next to them and he hooks them up. Because to Jesus, he doesn't care if you're black, yellow, white, so on, so on, so on. What matters to him is that you're made in his image. And when he sees you, he sees somebody who is, well, let's just put it this way. He knows you better than you'll ever know yourself because he's the one who made you. Back to Job. First remarks to Eliphaz, even today my complaint is bitter. My hand is listless because of my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might find him, that I might come to his seat, God's seat. I would present my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words with which he would answer me and understand what he would say to me. Would he contend with me in his great power? No, but he would take note of me. There, the upright could reason with him, and I would be delivered forever from my judge. Job goes on to explain an intimacy that he so desires with God, that he could come before him, that he could speak to him, that he could lay his petitions upon his desk, so to speak. But in case you aren't aware of this, this is what Jesus does for us. He's the intermediary. He's the one who advocates for us towards God. So if we ever find ourselves in a place of Job, like I just want to talk to him, well, you can. You come through Jesus. And Jesus makes everything acceptable to the Father. You know, sometimes we're coming and we just need to be encouraged. We just need to be spoken to. We just need to know that we're loved and we're going to be cared for. So God opens the door and he says, if any of you needs wisdom, come and ask. You know what? In fact, come to the throne room boldly. Lay all your cares down before me because I care for you. Job's looking for that comfort, but at the moment it seems to be escaping him. But it doesn't have to escape you. But Job goes on to talk about some of the wicked here as well. Verse 15 of 24, there are those who rebel against the light. They do not know his ways nor abide in its paths. The murderer rises with the light. He kills the poor and needy. And in the light, he is like a thief. The eye of the adulterer waits for the twilight, saying, no eye will see me. And he disguises his face. In the dark they break into houses, which they mark for themselves in the daytime. They do not know the light, for the morning is the same to them as the shadow of death. But he says this is the way of the criminal, of the wicked person. That light, the thing that brings exposure to your deeds, is to them like death to a righteous person. It's something to hide from. Or it's like death. It's something to run away from. It's something not to go towards. Now, if you read the New Testament, I think it's in John, he talks about this light and this darkness. But those who embrace the light, those who walk in the light, they don't mind at all, because what it does is it shows the world that their deeds, their works, and the things that they do are done in God. But to those who are in darkness, they're afraid to come to the light lest their deeds be exposed. If anything, what this is showing me, beyond what probably is meant, what it's meant for in the context, is that, look, if I'm starting to do stuff that I need to hide, I gotta stop doing it. Because more than likely, I'm doing it in the dark, right? Maybe what Job is saying is, I've done all my living in the light. I've got nothing to hide. I'm not like one of these guys. You know, I understand what you're saying, Eliphaz, but that ain't me, man. You know my life. You know where I've been. I don't hide in corners, going off and doing things I shouldn't be doing. You should know better. He says, when I went out to the city gate, When I took my seat in the open square, the young man saw me and hid. He had a certain he had respect. And the aged arose and stood. When I walked in, everybody stood. Like you get a pretty good sense of the kind of man that Job was. He held prominence. God had blessed him, had put him on a pedestal. People knew it and respected him, but it didn't go to his head. The princes refrained from talking and put their hand on their mouth. The voice of nobles was hushed, and their tongues stuck to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard, then it blessed me. And when the eye saw, then it approved me, because I delivered the poor who cried out, the fatherless, the one who had no helper. The blessing of a perishing man came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness as it clothed me. My justice was like a robe and a turban. I was eyes to the blind. I was feet to the lame. I was father to the poor. And I searched out the case that I did not know. I broke the fangs of the wicked and plucked the victim from his teeth. You know, Eliphaz, you're completely out of line. That is not at all how I was. It was the opposite. And if you're going to talk about true and pure, undefiled religion, look to the book of James. It's going and helping widows and the fatherless in their distress. I read those words and I get moved by them. I don't know about you, but it moves on my heart to want to be his hands and his feet and useful to him. Am I looking for the opportunities to bless my God and to serve the ones who are made in his image no matter what state they're in? Because in reality, if you have something to give, if you know what you ought to do and you don't do, that is sin. In a way, I'm thinking Job is just wishing he could be in that place again, where he wasn't the one in need of such help, but he was in the place of being able to help. Ironically, his friends are not as righteous as Job, or they would have helped him, fed him, gave him something to drink, been by his side, and wept with him. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Peace. Jesus loves you. I love you too. See you tomorrow.